The Dental Download Podcast is your source for insight into dental school, conversations with dentists, specialists, and leaders in the industry. With new episodes every Monday morning, I'm your host, Haley Schultz. Let's get into this week's episode. Hello everyone, happy Monday. Welcome back to another episode of the Dental Download Podcast. This week we're going to be talking about support systems and their importance in dental school, how to make a smart decision about where you go to dental school in terms of evaluating your support system, and then also keeping up with that support system during dental school. So I hope you all find this episode interesting and helpful. Let's get into it. Want to make a podcast? Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily and then distribute it everywhere and even earn money, all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters. Here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right away from your phone or computer, so no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify, but also everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available, and you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. Did I mention it is totally free? No catch. I've been using Spotify for Podcasters since the very beginning of my show, and now we're nearing our 200th episode. So I can definitely say it's an easy platform, and I've really loved using it. So be sure to download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started. All right, so we're going to be talking about support systems, but before we do that, we're going to get into our intro for the week, our recap of what life has been like in dental school the past couple weeks. So 2 weeks ago, I did my Fall Favorites episode. Last week, we had Kat from Harvard's dental school talk to us, and this week, we have our new topic. So that means we have 2 weeks to recap of school. So the week of September 12th, I had a lot of appointments and I did a ton of assisting. It really wasn't above the requirements. It was the 3 that were required, but that feels like a lot because that means I had my 4 patient appointments and then 3 assists. And that's when I ran into the issue that I talk about in a vlog that's going to go up soon. But basically there was a miscommunication between a patient and I canceled the appointment, and they thought we had the appointment and they were there, and then I wasn't able to see them because I had already gone home, and by the time I came back they didn't want to stay for the rest of the appointment. So it was definitely a learning thing on my end, and I'm seeing that patient this coming week. So hopefully things have smoothed over and we can start fresh and have a good dentist-patient relationship going forward. But the rest of that week was fine, and I was able to get a haircut, which was fun because I'd been really wanting to get like my layers redone in my hair. So my hair is still pretty long. It actually almost looks longer because of the layers, but I was stoked about that because I'd been wanting one before all of our fall events and the conferences that are going to come up in November. And then we also had some socials for the different organizations that I'm in, like informative socials where a dentist or somebody else is presenting, but there's dinner and drinks and everything. And then we were also pretty busy in September that week and then last week with clubs membership cycles starting over. So we were picking people for the different conferences, District 6 and National Leadership Conference for ASDA, but we also had all of our new members joining, and we had the Turner's Trot 5K through ASDA as well as tailgates every weekend. So it's just been a busy time when it comes to ASDA events and just trying to stay on top of everything with clinic and extracurricularly, but it's been fun, and I've still been able to fit in a lot of workout classes, which you all know makes me very happy. So that's really the major recaps, just more patience and trying to fit everything in amongst all the ASDA craziness the past couple weeks. It's going to start to slow down. We still have consistently full schedules, but the administrative work that takes hours and hours really all happens these past couple weeks with getting the new members turned over, removing people that are no longer members, adding in the new members, getting them registered, paying for different things, registering people for the conferences, paying for the conferences. All of that just takes a lot of time, which I'm happy to give and I enjoy it, but it does take up a lot of time. And I did do another test case last week, so I guess that's the last notable thing. Actually, there'll be two notable things from last week. So we started off the week with a lunch and learn on the 19th of September, which was fun because a lot of times our ASDA lunch and learns are by sponsor kind of companies that are recruiting, usually for DSOs. We try to also have some private practice dentists come in as well, but the DSOs provide money for our chapter to do things, so they also come and talk to us. But this one was cool because it was about nutrition, and then this coming week we have another one about occupational wellness, about different stretches and exercises that you can do to prevent injury as dentists. So we're definitely mixing in some other type of content as well, so it's not all sponsored presentations. And then on Thursday last week, I went to a dinner with state and national legislators through the Washtenaw District Dental Society. So that was really cool. There was 5 of us students there and probably about 20 dentists and then 5 legislators, some from the Congress, some that are local representatives, some that are state representatives, but it was really cool to talk to them and make them aware of the issues facing dentistry, because some of them really didn't know much about the problems going on with insurance or other things, and then some of them did but don't have the solutions per se. But it was nice for them to become aware and to start brainstorming with us potential solutions and how the government can play a role in something that is private, which is insurance, but they can possibly mandate things like is happening now in Massachusetts. If you're not aware, definitely look into that. They're trying to pass a bill on the ballot. I guess it's not a bill, it's like a votable initiative on the November ballot that insurance companies need to use 85% of their profits towards the benefits of their payees, so of the people that have the insurance plan, which just leaves the rest of the money for covering administrative and paying their employees in the insurance company. Versus right now, we don't even know what the percentages are, but people are making millions of dollars as salaries when insurance really should be a non-profit industry. So that is that. And then like I said, I did a test case this week. That's the last thing that we'll recap. And it didn't go as good as I hoped. I had really high expectations, even though it was my first challenging filling. As you guys know, I've done 2 restorative treatments. They were both tiny restorations on the lingual, distal lingual or mesial lingual of lower anterior teeth. So it was pretty much direct vision, a little bit indirect, but you could still see what you were doing. There was no guesswork, but this was a class 2 on a maxillary premolar, number 4, and it was DO, so distal. So there was a lot of times I just couldn't get the burr where I wanted it to be. I knew what I wanted, how I wanted it to go and why I wanted it to go that way based on the different properties of retention or whatever it may be, but being able to execute it, that's the challenge, right? That's the skill. That's why we're in school. But it was challenging, and I passed the test case, thankfully, but I just wish I did better on it. So it was pretty discouraging. That whole afternoon, I was just not in great spirits, because you just want to be better, and when something doesn't go well, it's just discouraging. That's all I can say about it. But if you ever have those times, know that, of course, the first time you do something, especially something hard, it's most likely not going to go well, and that's how you grow. That's how you improve. I'm sure every single class 2 I do from now on is going to slowly get better and better, but I had to test case it because I don't have any other guaranteed restorative work planned. I have one patient that needs a lot of restorative work, but they have to get a bunch of teeth extracted mid-October, and then after that, in theory, we can start all their restorative needs. But who's to say if they're actually going to come for the extractions, let alone after that, once their pain is gone, continue with the restorative work. So I'm not banking on people showing up if I haven't had something to indicate to me that they're actually reliable based on how many patients I've had no show or cancel or stop treatment. So I'm not holding my eggs all in one basket, if you will. If I have a chance, I'm just going to test case anything, even if it's my first time doing it. And test case just means that it's graded and it's my grade for the semester for that component of clinic. So I got a low grade as one of my components for restorative. We have to do 2 test cases a semester. So I still have to do 1 more, and that could potentially raise my grade. But either way, I'm glad it's out of the way. I'm glad I don't have to redo it. I'm glad I passed it, because that would be even worse, having to explain to a patient that you failed what is in their mouth and you have to redo it. We would redo it for free, but still, like, I wouldn't feel as confident in my dental student if that happened. But that is all of our recap. So now we'll get into the main segment, talking about support systems. All right, let's get into it. So I have a few different things I want to talk about with this topic. Hopefully it all stays on topic and doesn't go in circles too much, like we go from one thing to the next. I'm going to do my best to present this to you all in a logical way. But basically why I wanted to even talk about support systems is because, as I've said in a lot of episodes, I feel like that is what has made dental school good and great for me, is the people I surround myself with, how I choose to spend my time, how I manage my time, and what I put into my schedule. And a lot of what I put into my schedule is spending time or making time for people in my life that are important to me. And that can include people outside of school and people inside of school. So I'm going to give you guys examples of my support systems and then give you some kind of thought questions for figuring out if the dental school you're going to is going to make sense for you to be happy and feel supported. I don't want to say it's impossible to be happy and feel supported if you go away from home, if you go away from your current family and friends, because that's absolutely not true. I know a lot of out-of-state students at Michigan that are really happy here, but to be transparent, I also know some out-of-state students that are not happy here. So we'll get into that later, how you can kind of evaluate if going somewhere away from your current support systems is going to work or maybe not going to work. But before we do that, if you're not really clear on what I mean by support systems, I just want to give you examples of them in my life. So for outside of school, of course, for my immediate family, it's a mom, dad, and my sister. And even though my parents are in Michigan part of the year, as I've explained to you all, I still usually only see them every couple weeks, I would say. Maybe like every 2 or 3 weeks, I'll pop home for a weekend and see them. And then my sister lives out of state, so I really only see her probably a handful of times a year, more often around the holidays, less often around the rest of the year. I just made a trip out to see her over Labor Day weekend, though, which was so fun. Finally got to visit her in Wisconsin for the first time. All the other times we've been meeting up at my parents' Michigan house or my parents' Florida house. And then aside from my immediate family, I would say my other main support systems are my boyfriend, my roommates, my friend from college, and then within school, my other support system is definitely the Christian Dental Association. We have our bi-weekly Bible studies, and that really helps ground me and refocus me and just put things back into perspective if I'm ever getting too bogged down about one specific thing. It really helps to reframe my mind and remind me of my why, my greater purpose, even beyond dentistry itself, but also within why I'm in dental school, what kind of life I want to create for myself and my family, as well as what I want to do to serve patients in the future. So it's a really holistic thing that I gain from CDA, the Christian Dental. But the other people I mentioned that are outside of school, my friends from college, so they would be example of people that I don't see a lot, that are kind of long distance virtual friends. Some of them, about now, only a couple of them are in Michigan, and then a couple of them have moved out of state for jobs or for different graduate programs. So we really only see each other maybe once or twice a year. Between all those different friends, I'll meet up with them individually, probably once or twice, and then we might have a group hangout once in the year. And it's crazy saying that now that I'm grown up, if you will, because these are people I would see weekly in college, and some of them were my roommates, so I saw them all day, every day. But now it's just different, and I think that's a testament that it's totally possible to maintain relationships with people that you don't live by and don't see a lot. So I'm definitely not trying to say that you can't move away from friends and family, because these people are still a great, I guess, outlet for me to rely on when it comes to stresses about school, stresses about life outside of school, confidence boosters, reminders of what I'm capable of, what I'm great at, things I've gotten through before if I'm in a challenging situation. Those are kind of times that I rely on my support systems, but it's not even just when you need something. It's almost also keeping life good, keeping you happy, keeping you at a chill, pretty level, standard, but good state, is having those friends and family that make life enjoyable. And that, for me, a lot of those moments, those conversations, those jokes, whatever it may be, are just casually throughout the days, throughout the weeks, and most of that happens over the phone, to be honest, with my friends and family. And then my boyfriend and my roommates I see more often. As I talked about before, my boyfriend lives out of state for work, but lately he's been hybrid, so he's been in Michigan more often throughout the fall, which has been great. And then my roommates I see all the time, and they're also, I would say, merging into the things in dental school that provide me support and make my life enjoyable. But because it's my home away from home, it's my dental school home, I also kind of see them as outside friends, because I know that I'm going to keep up those relationships even when I graduate. So before we get into the questions and, I guess, examples I want to give you all about evaluating your support system, especially if you're in the pre-dental stage and you're deciding where you want to apply to schools, where you want to go to school, I do want to refer you to another episode as well. If this isn't as applicable to you, that one definitely will be, because it's all about keeping up those relationships during dental school. So again, that's friends, family, partners. And I posted that right around Valentine's Day of last year, so around February 13th. I'll try to put the episode number in the description of this podcast if I remember, but I think it's literally Dental Download Podcast, Relationships in Dental School is the title. So I'm sure you can search it and find it, but that is something to look out for that's similar but different than this episode if you want more info or something more along those lines. So, what can you consider before choosing a dental school? Look at your life right now, whether you're an undergrad or in a gap year or you're non-traditional, like, who are your core people right now? And once you have identified those people, are these people moving with you? Are you already married or something? Or are these going to become long distance family and friends? Or are they already kind of long distance virtual family and friends? Because that can make the transition a lot easier. If you're just moving to a different place that's still not by them, you're going to be more used to communicating with them virtually, versus if you're leaving undergrad and you're leaving your college friends and you've always just hung out in person and watched shows together in the evenings and cooked dinner and you catch up at the end of the day in that way, you'll have to go out of your way to ask them, hey, do you want to FaceTime while we cook dinner tonight? But you might have different schedules in the future. So it's just harder to sometimes line things up, especially to get that face-to-face or over the phone chat. You might end up having more of a texting, Snapchatting, catching up relationship rather than real-time talking. So it's something to be aware of so that you have proper expectations. I talk about that a lot as well on this show, is your expectations going into dental school, because mine were certainly way too high and just different. Like, life in dental school for me has been great lately, but at the same time, I just thought that things would be different than they are, and I'm totally happy with how they are now, but myself years ago would have still been confused, I think, of how I don't have like a core group of dental school friends that's like a lot of people. I have friends in school, don't get me wrong, but I thought I would kind of not drop everyone else in my life from previously, but I just thought I would have like a group chat of like, these are my ride or die people, and it's 10 or 12 people in my class, and that's just not my situation. There are groups like that in our school. There are plenty of friend groups, plenty of like close-knit, almost family-like groups, but that's just not my situation. And I think that happened because Partially, I put so much time into my relationships outside of school, and partially because of the way we started with COVID and being online and me not moving to Ann Arbor and everything. So it's a mix of things. But nevertheless, circling back to what I was saying, being aware of how your systems are now, of the people that support you and the people that you rely on for enjoyment and happiness and conversation and socializing and support in life. Is that going to be the same when you go to dental school, or is it going to change? Regardless, it's going to change a little because your life is going to be changing and you'll have to adapt the friendship around that or the relationship around that either way. But it's easier to do if it's still a similar relationship to what it was before. And then the next thing is think about how you can create a family-like unit at dental school. And then, side note to that, how to not feel guilty if you don't. I already talked about that with you guys a couple seconds ago when I said that I don't really have a family-like unit super hardcore like I thought I would. I don't know what I thought I would have, but I know it's not what I have now, and I'm not even trying to bash anything. Like, I'm very, very happy. Do not get me wrong. I just thought it would be something that it's not, and I think I just had unrealistic expectations in that way. But I do know people that are that close, and I think it's if you're coming from out of state, living with other people that are also out of state, so that they're not going to be going home to their parents every weekend. Or if you're single, live with other single people. If you're in a relationship, live with other people in a relationship. Like, you want to live with roommates, first of all, I would say, is a no-brainer in my opinion, because I think that is the first way to get yourself out of your comfort zone and start making new relationships within your dental school. But I also think that you want to live with people that have similar goals as you do when it comes to socializing and when it comes to interests in forming deep friendships. If people are going to go home a lot, or people have a partner that they're going to be seeing a lot, or you just have very different interests, like, you're probably not going to form a very deep friendship, which is fine. Like, you can be cordial with everyone in your class, and I definitely feel that way. But if you need to form a kind of dental school home away from home, you're going to want to be strategic about who you place in that home, who you live with. And at the end of the day, I just want to end all this off by saying that you really only need one, maybe two people in your corner. Sure, it's nice. Like I was saying, I thought I needed like a big group chat of like 15 people, but I don't. And that's why I'm still so happy, because I have my core people in dental school and I have my core people outside of dental school. And that's all I need. And even if you only have one person, that is a-okay, because if you're there for them and they're there for you, that's really all that matters. And the final thing is that at the end of the day, you are honestly your biggest fan, or you should be if you're not. So let this be a reminder that although you can spend all this time putting energy and love into other people and into relationships, hopefully they're giving that same level back to you. But if they're not, or even if they are, it's so crucial that you develop the self-appreciation, the self-motivation, the self-drive to push yourself through those hard situations, to coach yourself through tough times, to encourage yourself through tough times, to give yourself grace when you don't do well, like I was talking about in the intro, being super discouraged. I had to work myself through that, even though my own support systems were being super kind. No one's words like got me out of feeling discouraged until I myself made the decision that I had to get over it, basically. Like my roommates being supportive, my boyfriend being supportive, whatever it may be, as nice as that was, that they were being kind to me, like I had to be the one to pull myself out of that situation. It wasn't a super dark, terrible example, but a lot of times that's necessary. It's nice to not be isolated and to have support, but you're probably going to find that at the end of the day, it comes down to you and you being in your own corner, no matter what. So let that be a reminder that you have to take care of yourself and support yourself above all other things, because you are the person that you have. You have your one body, you have your one self for the rest of your life, your one brain, your one mind, your one soul. So you want to take care of it, you want to encourage it, you want to nourish it, you want to grow, become the best version of yourself. and that will help you to live a happy and fulfilling life, I think. So we'll end on that positive, cheery note. I hope you all enjoyed this week's episode. Next week, we're going to have another guest, and that is another dental student, I believe, from Marquette's Dental School. So I hope you're all excited for that one, and I will talk to you next Monday.